Hello, this is Jamie from GEMA Powder Coat Equipment. And today what I'd like to go through with you today is how to use the air settings on the OptiFlex Pro Spray units. So I'd like to give you 3 different scenarios and their settings so you'll be very successful with this piece of equipment. So let's start with custom coaters. So if I'm a custom coater shop, I want a nice, slow, soft pattern coming out of it so I can really apply the powder exactly the way I want it. So the first settings that we're talking about 2 settings, and that are these top 2 settings. And the first one I want to talk about is the second one down, and that's 3.0. So that's the total amount of air that's going to be coming out the front of the gun. And we'll break this out into 2 different parts. The first part will be the part that you see here, which is 70%, and then the other part will be 30%. So the 70% is how much powder I'm going to be picking up through the pump, all the way through the hose, and then coming out through the front of the gun. And then the 30% is the air that comes out through this black hose. It comes up through the integration tube here, and it mixes in with the powder path. And this is where the atomization starts to occur, and it tells me how much velocity I'm going to have at the front of the gun. So we only have 30% of the velocity and 70% of powder. So it's going to give you a nice, clean, soft pattern, accept to charge, wrap around the part, get in those nice areas that you want. So that's scenario 1. Scenario 2 is an automatic application where if you're on an automated line and you really want to apply some powder to it. So we're going to crank this up to 4.0. And we'll keep the powder at 70%. So what that's going to do is it's going to raise both of these numbers. So I'm going to get more powder and I'm going to get more atomization air because I raised my total air. I'm still at 70%, just both of these numbers went up pretty equally. And this is a pretty good starting point for a successful automatic line. And then the last application I'd like to talk about is for fusion bonded epoxies. So we're talking about some super high film builds, and we're coating those parts usually hot, and we don't want them to cool down before we finish coating them. So what we would do with that is we would be a 2-pump system. So we'd add a second pump to this. This would give you the capabilities of actually going to 600 grams per minute. So we could bring up a lot of powder at low velocity through the lines and bring them up to the front of the gun and adjust to whatever outputs that we'd like to. So the output settings I'd like to show for those would be, we'll say about 5.5, and then we'd also raise up the percentage up to about 85%. So this is going to give you a good amount of powder coming out of it at a good velocity to allow you to do pipe coatings, fusion bonded epoxies very rapidly and still be able to do it in a very fast amount of time. So I hope this video helps. I look forward to some more videos in the future. Thank you for tuning in.